Good evening. Hello, 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 hello. I anxiously awaited for Wednesday to come. I couldn't wait to give another podcast to you guys. I want to welcome you to the comfort zone. The comfort zone. I'm your host, Donna E. Williams, owner and CEO of Donna's Touch LLC. As you can see by this amazing graphic behind me and my QR code, could take you right to my website where you can see all the wonderful things that I do and the services that I offer. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you didn't get as much snow as I did. I got about 4 inches of snow here. Hmm. This time the weather forecast was correct. It was accurate. Anyway, Donna's Touch, where everything I touch comes from the heart, is the sponsor of this podcast. Today, I want to continue to talk about who I am and give you a little bit more information about me and share with you some insightful things that have helped me to understand and realize who this person is that's before you. Who is this woman? Why should I listen to her? And what does she have to offer that I would want to be interested in? Well, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, as a friend of mine once said. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people might like their tea a little nicer. Some people might like their tea a little hotter. Some people might like their tea with agave. Some people like their tea with sugar. Some people like their tea black. Some people like their tea with milk, lemon. I am hot and straight to the point, and I mean that in every sense of the way. I may got a little gray on this roof here, but honey, the furnace, the fire is still burning. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So I want to talk to you guys about how when I was younger. See, now we're going back a little ways. I told you I'm 64 years young, so we're going back a little ways. We'll start talking about when I was younger. So I just want to share with you some of the things that happened to me in my early childhood to help develop me to be the person that I am and give me the insight to understanding who I am, who I should be, and who I intend to be. So I started as a caregiver at the age of 10. My mom was diagnosed with mental illness, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I was never given that information at that young age that she had a mental illness. All I knew was that my dad needed me to give him some assistance. And basically, because I was the oldest of three children and I wanted to please my dad, he was the most important man in my life at the time. And if he needed something, I wanted to make sure he had it. I wanted to make sure I was able to help him get it. So at the very young age of 10, I was given the charge to dispense medication to my mother. I did not know what kind of medication I was dispensing to her. Like I said, I didn't even know she had a mental illness, but I was given the charge to dispense medication to her. So you might say to yourself, 10 years old, that's kind of young to be a caregiver, but I was also a caregiver and a babysitter. And not at 10. They didn't give me the opportunity to babysit till I was 11, actually. And I asked for it because the babysitter that used to come to our house was very inappropriate with her boyfriend. Not with me, but she would sneak her boyfriend in the house when my parents, of course, went out, and she was inappropriate. So I didn't tell on her, but I just convinced my parents that I could do the job. And so they allowed me to babysit. So in the meantime, I was also giving her medication when it was called upon for me to do so. So as time went on and I got older, I began to understand some of the things that was going on with my mother. Because my mother would go to the hospital every so often, she would have these episodes. And come to find out later on, she was diagnosed as uh, paranoid. I'm sorry. She was diagnosed as schizophrenic, and she actually had manic. She was manic depressive, which now is bipolar. Manic depressive is now bipolar, but then it was called manic depressive and paranoid schizophrenia. That's what she had. They said she has paranoid schizophrenia, but she wasn't. So they were giving her medication. She was misdiagnosed, and they were giving her medication for a diagnosis that she didn't have. Now, we have to remember, we're talking about the 70s. We're talking about a black woman. We're talking about a black family. We're talking about all the things that could be a deterrent to us in our life because of who we are as a people. What do they believe about us as far as mental illness? Do they even believe that we have mental illness, that it exists? So there's a whole lot of things that were working against us. So for my dad to be able to do what he did and be able to get her in and out of hospitals and institutions and then get her on medication, and it was just a whole big process, and I never really understood what it was. But as I began to understand what it was, it frightened me. It frightened me. You don't know what you don't know. And I did not want to be like that. I knew I just did not want that to be a part of my life. I did not want to have to be concerned about somebody putting me in this institution and doing unspeakable things to me. My mother told me some pretty bad stories about the things that's happened to her when she was institutionalized. It's not good. Um, and one of the things that it taught me very early on was how to be responsible. I was responsible for my brother and my sister. I was responsible for myself. I didn't have much of a childhood. That's why I'm so silly and crazy now, because I did not have much of a childhood. I had to be on point. I was responsible for my brother and my sister and but responsible for myself. But it didn't stop me from doing sometimes some really mischievous things because as a young person, as a child, you get curious. You do things you shouldn't do. So I wanted to share a little story with you guys. I hope it'll make you laugh because I still laugh about this story, even though it happened like 50 years ago. So, okay, so those of you who know, I mean, we may have some seniors that's listening to this, but we probably have more young people. There was a product on the market back in the day called X-Lax. X-Lax is this product that it's a laxative, and it was sold then in the form of chocolate. So it would be these little squares of chocolate that you would eat one square, one. I don't know if you can see my finger, one square, and it will help you go to the bathroom. Well, I loved chocolate, as you can imagine that where this story is going. I really, really love chocolate. It's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things. Still is, but just not as much. Anyway, excuse me. Anyway, so I went in my mother's drawer, which I had no business doing. I went in my mother's drawer, I saw the X-Lax, and all I saw was the word chocolate. That's all I saw. So I proceeded to eat the whole thing. Must have been about, I want to say maybe 12 squares, because they're little squares. They were like maybe 1 by 1, 1 inch by 1 inch or something like that. I don't even think they're that big, but they were little squares. And I proceeded to eat the whole box. Well, as you can imagine, it wasn't long before I was sitting in the bathroom on the toilet doing what people who take laxatives have to do. And it was getting quite annoying because every time I thought I was done, I would get my body would call me back, and I would keep good going, getting called back to go to the bathroom. And finally, I remember sitting there going, God, please, I don't have anything left. Please make it stop. So, um, my parents, who at this point realized what happened, wanted to. My father was like, "Should we punish her?" My mother's like, "No, she's been punished enough. She will not do that again." They are so right. They were so right. I mean, I laugh about this story. I, it's like just being greedy, right? I saw the X-like. I saw it say X-like, but of course I didn't know what it meant. But I saw the chocolate, and the chocolate is what got my attention. So in any case, some of the childhood memories that I keep and share with me, and I could laugh at myself and know that I was just like any other child, just wanting to be regular and being greedy and always wanting to try to please your parents, but always doing something that you shouldn't do. So what it taught me, what it taught me not to eat things that don't belong to me, right? But some of the other things was that was born out of this whole concept and this whole part of my life where I was charged with being responsible for my mother in a way was I learned I acquired the disease to please. It taught me that whatever was needed of me, I would be there to do. I became a caregiver at that age. I never really thought about being a caregiver at the age of 10, but when I really think about it and all the stuff that I did and what I was responsible for, I was a caregiver at the age of 10 because I not only care for my mother, but I care for my brother and my sister. There was something I discovered recently called the eldest daughter syndrome. And if you don't know what it is, look it up. And for all of you women that are the oldest daughter, this may or may not pertain to you, but there were things that I found out about being the eldest daughter that it just looked just like my life. There, your parents have a tendency to depend more on you. They give you more responsibility. In some cases, you're a lot like the mom. And just to share with you guys total transparency, my brother, who is the youngest of the three of us, he used to say, my sister raised me. He used to tell people, my sister raised me. My mom was always there, but she wasn't always there mentally. And like I said, we didn't know that at a very young age. But I was there for my brother, and I took him to school, and I would make sure he came home, and we would watch Sesame Street together, and we would do homework and do all kinds of things. And as he got older, I mean, I spent a lot of time with him. And it wasn't until recently that I understood and really was able to come to terms with the fact that he's my brother, not my son. I always knew that, but the way I would move in a lot of instances was moving more like a mom instead of a sister. And that's because I had been doing that since I was very, very young. So I learned a lot about responsibility, about being in control, about being in charge. I'm sorry, about being in charge and about being a leader because I was given the task and the responsibility not only to care for my sister and my brother, but to care for my mother. And as she got older, I never got rid of that responsibility. I never lost that responsibility. And my mom actually welcomed me to take that role and continue to be that way in her life. And it's just really strange because I didn't realize how much this was setting me up for being the leader in my own life, learning how to be the leader in my life. Because being a caregiver, you care more about the person you're caring for than you care for yourself. You have a tendency to put yourself last. And I was no different. I was no different. I didn't know how to be selfish. I didn't know how to take time and care for me. I always cared for everyone else before me. So the only time I began to care for me is when I was diagnosed with cancer and I didn't know how to handle it. And I was overwhelmed and I wasn't sure if I was going to be here. And a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to talk to someone. And I did. I said yes. And that's when I ended up going to a therapist. First time. Been going to therapy ever since. Always important to stay in the conversation because there's always something that you need to navigate and that you may need to talk about and want to have a person that is totally impartial and is bound by confidentiality to not talk your business. Hello, that freed somebody. So I spoke with her and she asked me, "What are you here? Why are you here? What can I do for you?" And I went on to talk for 20 minutes about everything, everybody but me. I casually mentioned that I had breast cancer. And after about 20 minutes, she said, "Wait a minute, whoa, hold on. You've been talking about everything and everybody, talking about your brother, your mom, your father, your sister, the brother, everybody, the dog, the cat, da, da, da. What's going on with you?" I heard you said something about cancer. I said, "Yes, I was diagnosed with cancer." She said, How do you?" So basically, what she said to me was, "We're going to take everything off your plate, including your mom." I was like, "Not my mom," including your mom, "and we're going to focus on you. You don't have any boundaries. You need to set some boundaries." And I was like, "What is she talking about? What do you mean boundaries?" So that was a whole new concept. But she helped me understand how important boundaries were. I don't believe I would have gotten through this cancer treatment or this cancer diagnosis if it wasn't for that woman. The other woman I said last week is Ceci. I watched her fight. I watched how she handled her diagnosis and her cancer, and I wanted to fight like her, and I did. I fought like her. And to God be the glory, I'm going on year 13. So I am so, so open and so an advocate of therapy. It's important. I'm an advocate of growth. I'm an advocate of learning to be better to yourself and being selfish. So much so that I became part of an anthology. Shameless plug. I have a book. I'm part of an anthology. I'm a published author. And the name of the book is Girl, Be Selfish. And I'm one of 21 authors who each write a chapter about our journey to self-care. So it is just an amazing thing. It freed me even more because I thought was in a different space and I thought I was in a better space, but actually I needed the work. So it was important for me to do this. And I'm so proud of it. And it's helped me to be able to continue to do work to be a better person for myself and for my family. And help me to become the leader so I can help leader in my life so I can help you guys to become the leader in your life. So hey, let's go on this journey together. I told you about coming on my magic carpet and let us take a ride to the oasis in your mind. So listen, I've had a wonderful time talking with you guys today. It has been an honor and a pleasure. And next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about my journey, about my cancer journey, about my self-care journey, and about whatever else I might think about that I want to talk about. Because it may not even go that way, because, it's me. I could do whatever. I can talk about what I want to talk about, say a little, say a lot. But I want to show you guys love. I always want to show you everyone love and show you that I appreciate you. And do scan my QR code and do come to my website and leave a comment, please, on the YouTube page. Leave a comment, subscribe, And let me know whether you like, don't like, want to hear more. Did I empower you? Did I help you to seek self-care for yourself? Did I help you to realize that you may have been part of eldest daughter syndrome? Did I help you to understand that you're putting other people in front of you and not putting yourself on your own to-do list? Whatever it is, let me know. And I want to leave you with this. Celebrate your life. Because the more life you celebrate, the more love you have. You take care of yourselves. Bye bye.